Hello, football and soccer fans of the world. This is Alex coming to you from South Texas, aka El Mago, which we could translate into the wizard or the magician, and that's the username that I've been using throughout the web since 1997. Since back then, I've been what you can say a keeper of Peñarol's history, and I'm starting this series of videos in English to introduce and only and not only introduce, excuse me, but also to give the opportunity to the Peñarol fans that are non-Spanish speaking to be able to communicate. Now, we have fans throughout the world: China, Japan, Africa, Europe, and since the mother language of Peñarol, being a team from Uruguay, is Spanish, it's hard for those fans to communicate. So it is done first and foremost for them, and then for all the other football and soccer fans throughout the world that have similar roots, like the ones we have in our team. Let me explain you a little bit briefly the history of Peñarol and where the name comes from. Peñarol is the oldest surviving team in Uruguay. It was founded on September 28th, 1891, as you saw at the beginning of the video. But the locality of Peñarol has a very peculiar history. An Italian immigrant, son of a doctor, from the town of Peñarol in Italy, decides to live, I guess, his comfortable life at the mid-18th century and come to the Americas for an adventure. And where does he land? In what is now we know as the country of small but very big in football and soccer country of Uruguay. Giuseppe Bautista Crosa from Peñarol is his name. He establishes himself by the mid-18th century in Uruguay. He opens up what it was called back then a pulperia. It was a store that sold it all that was available back then. So it was a jack of all trades selling stuff. Now, Don Giuseppe, Don Juan, or Mr. John Bautista Crosa, apparently he missed his homeland a lot. So he started using, I guess back then, I'm Giuseppe from Peñarol. Peñarol translated to Spanish quickly became Peñarol, and that's where we get our name from. Now, the locality where he lived takes that name, and curiously, his sons also use it as part of their last name. So his son, for example, Felix, which fought for Uruguayan independence, was a colonel in the Uruguayan army, Banda Oriental army, we should say. We were not Uruguay then. He assigns his name as Felix Crosa Peñarol. So he has already adopted his father's hometown as part of his name. And it's a name that, again, the whole family will carry until the middle of the 20th century, when his last his last descendants disappear, the bloodline, but the locality kept his name. And in 1878, the government of Uruguay gives permission for an English company, the Central Uruguay Railway Company of Montevideo Limited, with its board of directors in London, to start building what will be the train lines that will connect the whole small but very big in soccer country. After that, they locate themselves in another part of Montevideo, and then they go to the outskirts. Okay, in 1891, they purchase 20 hectares from the people that own the space, and they establish what we could what we could consider the biggest industrial center in the country, that and it will remain so for many years. So as you can see, we have very deep British roots. I showed our 118 founding members, which 45 were Uruguayan. There was one German, and the rest were British, Scots, Welsh, English, probably a few Irish in there too. If you read the names, you will see Hendersons, Hudsons, and it's funny because Mr. Hudson, after he's our second president, our first white president, when he returns to England, it is said that he put a sign in his lawn that said Villa Peñarol. So I guess he carried the love for his colors very deep. Now, on the 28th of September, 14 of them get together with the okay from the company, and they form the Central Uruguay Railway Cricket Club, better known as Peñarol from the beginning. As you can imagine, it was very difficult for people to understand that name, so we automatically took the name of our locality, and by the end of 1913, 1914, it will become our official name. Now, the team is created for its employees. When the British would come, they would bring in their sports and introduce them to, especially in Latin America, where a lot of those sports were unknown back then: golf, boxing, swimming, rowing, very powerful in Uruguay at the beginning, at the last part of the 19th century. So, and also cricket and rugby. But the heart of the team and of the association was in soccer, and the following year, a few months later, after we were founded, we started practicing the sport, which was called Football Association. Mr. Wusi, one of the board members, is the one that introduces and promotes the first one to play the sport. And right away, we started playing against the older teams that were in existence. For example, the Albion, which was created a couple of years before we were, but it's a team that disappeared at the beginning of the 20th century, but it was a powerhouse back then. So we started playing against them, playing against the students of the British school, and also commerce, mainly back then. Remember, no planes, was done a lot by ships. Now, a lot of ships will land in Uruguay that were of British origin, and of course the sport was already popular in the British Isles, so we would play against, the sailors of those ships. Now, Peñarol has an outstanding history, not only for Uruguay but for the world. We've won 50 local championships. We have won the Copa Libertadores, which is the most prestigious award in Latin America, 5 times, and we were the first ones to do so. We were the first ones to win it 2 times. And we've also won what was known then as the final of Copa del Mundo between the best of Europe and the best of South America. And today it has a different name. Later it became the Toyota Cup. So we did beat Benfica for the first one, Real Madrid for a second, and oh my God, an English team for a third in Japan in 1982, which was the last time we won it. Now, Peñarol had its golden era in the 60s. We won most of the local championships, and we brought a whole drove of international trophies that are so important today in the world. So Peñarol is the prodigal son of a country of only over 3 million people, and I think it's a miracle. Just like all Uruguayan soccer is. I mean, how can Uruguayans have win so much with so few people? I guess what the Brits put in there, when they laid their roots, it really took hold, and we've been able not only to preserve it but to better it in a lot of ways. So this is the first one that I do in English, and it's a pleasure for me to do so. I don't know of any other Latin American that has done so, but again, this is for the Peñarol fans that do not speak Spanish, and also for all the fans out there that love football, soccer the way we do, that stand up for the sport, that preserve its history and promote it to the new generation. So I'm going to sign off now. Till next time, this is El Mago, the Wizard from South Texas. Till next time, in Yellow and Black Buddies. Bye-bye.